Hey guys, welcome back to Just Being a Mom podcast. And today, my really great friend Idalia is here. I went to college with Idalia. I'm not going to tell y'all what year that was, but we went to college together. And Idalia has just had a baby girl. So she is here to tell her birth story. Idalia, tell us a little bit. Oh, and Idalia has a YouTube page too, which is really awesome. So I'm going to put the link below so that you guys can go like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and do the same on this video too. So we can just all win out here. But Idalia, tell us a little bit about yourself and your family.
Absolutely. So a little bit about, I guess when I think about that, I guess I have my husband and I have my son, Rio, who's 8 years old. And we just had a new addition, like Shelby said. And that is Miss Brave Santana. And this week, actually, she just made 3 weeks. And let me see what else I can tell you about me. I work in the HRIT kind of just field. I live currently in the DFW area, and I moved here in 2019. I relocated from Atlanta. I'm originally from Miami, Florida. And I'm kind of making my way up and across. So I lived in Miami, Florida, Orlando, Florida, Atlanta, Georgia, and now we're in Dallas, Texas, baby. So we going global with it. Hopefully, the next time I speak to y'all, hopefully it'll be about my story about how I live on a little island, getting fanned by palm trees with men with gladiator sandals on feeding me grapes. So hopefully that's the next time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a little bit about me.
That's amazing. This is my really great thing, guys. I've been
Yeah,
forever. Sure. And I'm just so happy. I'm just so happy that you're doing good and you're blessed and your family is blessed. So it just makes me happy. But we're here to talk about Idalia'S birth story.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about your pregnancy first. Like, how was pregnancy for you? Because your first son, how old is your first son?
My first son is 8 years old.
So it was a gap between you.
Yes.
Being pregnant. So was it like so different, or was it like I don't remember this last time, or
both? It was both. It was so different, and it was I don't remember. It was both of those at the same time. So, and then also 8 years ago, I was much younger. It's amazing how your body changes in 8 years, how your bones change. I mean, one thing that I could still do was like dance, because I'm dancing all the time. So still do. But with Rio, my first son, it was when I compare it to my pregnancy with Brave, with Rio, it almost didn't feel like a pregnancy. I really didn't have a lot of the aches and pains like in my muscles or in my butt or in my hips and things like that. I had heartburn, just some heartburn, but with Brave, I had tremendous heartburn. And when I say tremendous heartburn, it was the type of heartburn that kept you up at night and you couldn't go to sleep. And it was the type of heartburn where the acid reflux, like it comes up almost like you want to throw up. So there would be times where I would sleep and I would just get up and start like almost basically coughing and throwing up because the liquid had came up from the acid reflux. Like it was just really bad. The pregnancy in general, it was great. It was just stuff like, it was just stuff like the acid reflux. And I guess that's not terrible. I didn't have morning sickness with any of them. So that was a really good thing that I didn't have to go through. And I'll get into the birth story with Brave a little bit later, but I had just really quick deliveries with them both. With Rio, I delivered within 45 minutes of me having my contractions. And so now we know it's always important for me to live really close to a hospital. But yeah, it's definitely a big difference, just that 8-year time span. And originally I thought to myself, oh, I should have had my kids closer together is what I originally thought, because that's what most people believe is ideal. But I think that it's perfect timing for me to have my children 8 years apart. I'm at a different place.
Timing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm just at a different place mentally. I'm more mature. It don't hurt because I'm making a little bit of extra change. Can't have two children. Don't be making that much money. So I think that the thought of, oh, I should have had my children close together, or, oh, I waited too long to have a child. I think that it's just so perfect. It worked out perfectly.
That's awesome. No, I always say that too. Like, sometimes I just wish Elijah was a little bit older so I didn't have to pick so much stuff up and
But
do every little thing.
Benefit with Elijah being his age and you about to have another baby now, it's a benefit to that too. I think that there's pros and cons in both, because the thing is, they'll go to school together at some point, and you can't beat those experiences. They'll have really close bond and connection and stuff like that. You can't beat,
Right. I definitely agree. But my brother and his sister are 8 years apart too. And, they have the best relationship. So
okay.
Good. It can work out either way. It's so crazy. Hey, Ria, I see you in the back.
Oh yeah. We go. When we get off, I'm gonna whoop them and say, "What you doing walking around when I'm on the Zoom chat? Don't be walking around when I'm on the Zoom chat."
He's too cute. Okay, so tell us about delivery. I'm excited. I'm so excited here because I heard it was crazy. So let's just get right into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess let me share context with you before I go into delivery. So, leading up to delivery, I didn't, we're in a period of the pandemic and COVID, and I didn't do a whole bunch of research, though I work at a hospital, on what delivery looked like and, what the restrictions were around it and whether my significant other and family could be in the room. But about 2 weeks before, when I seen the doctor, she did tell me that they were still being strict on restrictions. And if you might hear Brave, she just cried in the background, but they told me that at the specific hospital I was going to deliver at, which is the hospital that I work at, they told me that my support system could be in the room 2 hours, meaning that my husband could be there, but my son could not be there at all. Now, that brought up some concern for me because, like I said, I recently moved to the DFW area, and I did that without a support system outside of my husband and my son. So that meant that I really didn't have anybody to watch my son. I do have a few friends here, but they live an hour out from me. And typically I'm not one to really be a burden on my friends and be like, look, I need you to watch my child or something like that. But then also when you go into labor, if it's not planned or you're not being induced, then it's sporadic. It's a sporadic labor. So I knew that if I went in labor at 2:00 in the morning, I didn't want to call and wake a friend up at 2:00 in the morning. How would I drive my child an hour away? Or how would I have my son drive my child my husband drive my son an hour away? And how would I still get to the hospital? So this was something that I was like super, super concerned about. And I just was like, I start praying about it, to be honest with you. And when I say I was concerned about it, you know how you can tell someone you were concerned about it, but this is something that really is on your mind like all day long. Like for some reason, me thinking that I would give birth by myself and I wouldn't have a support system there, it was a big concern for me, and it was on my mind like all day long. Then I remember one day just reading a devotional, and then I finally was like, you know what? I think the devotional said, cast all of your cares up on Jesus. Something super simple, something I've heard a million times before, but it hit me in a certain way that specific day, right? And you know what, God, I'm going to give this situation to you. You're going to work it out. So in my mind, I had no clue how he worked it out, how he was going to work it out. But I'm going to tell you the story because that's how he worked it out. So it was on, I want to say maybe a Tuesday night. I was working exactly where I'm at now. And it got about 7 o'clock, and I just got like this thing to go take a bath. Like I was taking a lot of showers I had taken a lot of showers all throughout my pregnancy. Like I would just get in the shower maybe 3 times a day. I would fill up a cup with a whole bunch of ice, and I would eat the ice and let the hot water run over my body. So that was super normal for me. It was relaxing for me. It wasn't that I didn't feel good, just something that I did all the time while I was pregnant. So I was about to do that, get in the shower and just relax, let the hot water run over me. And when I got in the shower, I was telling my husband, I was like, babe, we didn't get the opportunity to do maternity pictures. And he was like, all right, babe, that's all right. We'll get to it this weekend. But we were like, we're going to take some right now. We was like, shoot, on the iPhone, you don't need no photographer. You might as well use your iPhone. So he took my phone and we took a few pictures, and I'm posing 1, 2, 3. We probably took 5 pictures, just really making fun of it. And like he's getting down on his knees, shooting different angles and stuff like that. And I'm posing and stuff. And then all of a sudden, we were done taking the pictures, and I had what I thought was like a Braxton Hicks contraction. And I felt it, but I had to process it, whether it was Braxton Hicks or not. I was processing the pain, because, you know, you have to figure out, you have to assess, like, is this it or is it not it? But I didn't think it was it at all. I'm just thinking I'm having a contractions, because I had been having them anyway every now and then. And so it came in and then it went away. And then the second time it came in so strongly and it went away. But when I'm telling my husband, I'm like, ooh, ooh. And he's kind of waiting. Like I'm saying, ooh, but he's waiting on my next words to see what I'm going to say. And I said, it's time. And that was on the second one. So when I go back and look at the pictures, the picture that I took was at 7:24. The last picture we took of us playing like we're doing a maternity photo shoot was at 7:24. So then all of a sudden those contractions started. I didn't have no clothes on. I was taking naked maternity photos at the time. So he went, Rio just said, why would you tell them that? You're right, baby. I tell them like that. So he, I told him, you know, he went to go get me clothes, and he was telling Rio to put on clothes. Rio went and put on some pajamas. He's like, no, Rio, not no pajamas. We got to go to the hospital, put on real clothes. So Rio went and put on clothes. He bought me some pants to try to put on, but the contractions were coming in so strong and putting so much pressure. I just kept kind of urinating, but trickling down urinating. And I think it's urine because of the pressure. I don't think my water was breaking, because later on my water broke. So it was, so I said, babe, you got to bring me some more pants. I don't want to wear no pissy pants to the, you know, to the hospital.
Yeah.
And bought me some more pants, and I think I peed in those a little bit too. And so when he bought me those, I was in so much pain. My mind was like, I can't take these pants off after I put them on. I'm in too much pain. I'm gonna have to wear these little pissy pants to the hospital, and that's just what it's gonna be. And so I put on the pants, and so we live in an apartment, and we live on the 3rd floor. We live closest to the stairs, but we do have an elevator. So I definitely couldn't take the stairs. So my son Rio walked me to the elevator while my husband gathered the bags, ran and got the car, and drove up to the elevator to meet us as we were going down. So on my way down the hallway, I had maybe about 1 contraction. Me and Rio, we got on the elevator. And when we got on the elevator, we got off at whatever the first stop was. First stop was the wrong floor. It was the 2nd floor. I needed to get to the 1st floor. I got off in pain, noticed that it was the 2nd floor, but I got off and the Domino's pizza guy was getting on. And you know, like when you're in labor and you're in that much pain, you don't really want to show your face. You want to keep your dignity in front of people. You don't want to really scream out loud the way you feel. So he's like, everything all right, ma'am? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm in labor. But I'm saying it in the best poker face that I could say it. Yeah. He was like, I don't even think that he really even knew what to say at the moment. But he ended up kind of on the way down the elevator just saying, well, ma'am, God bless you. I wish you the best and things like that. Or I also said, can I help you? And I said, no, my husband's pulling up. So we start walking out the elevator. And when we walked out the elevator, we almost got to the door to get outside. And I let out a big old scream and yell. And that was the most painful contraction that I had. And then, the contraction comes, it goes away. And those few seconds that it's away, you feel as normal as you can feel, right? So my husband met me at the door. We were getting in the car. It was about 34 degrees outside. I had on this big white coat and I had on my mask. I remember in that period of getting into the car and having another contraction that my body it was getting so hot. And like I said, it was 34 degrees outside. So it was super cold, but my body was getting hot. And so along with my body getting hot, I knew that I was about to pass out because that feeling when you're becoming disconnected. And so I was definitely becoming disconnected. I knew that I was in a lot of pain and I'm positive that I was going to faint from the pain. So I was telling my husband, I'm about to pass out. I ripped off the mask. I took off the jacket and, it was a longer coat. So half of it I was sitting on anyway because I'm sitting in it. So I took off the coat. I took my arms out of the coat. So now the coat is under me. And so we live about 5 to 7 minutes from the hospital and from a hospital, and we can take the toll road to get there. Well, as soon as so my husband's driving, we're at this light where we can make a left, but the other light is green, so they have the right of way, so we have to wait on them. And I'm just telling my husband, take it, go. Like, you got enough room to make a left, go. He didn't go though. So he finally made the left, and then we're getting on to the toll road. As we get onto the toll road, I'm in so much pain that my body can do nothing but lift up from the floor. So my feet are starting, and I'm going to try to show you the best I can, but my feet are starting to press more against the floor, which is making my body kind of lift up like this, So of course, if I go straight up, my head is touching the top of the ceiling of the car or the roof of the car. So I'm more so up, but leaning on my husband to the side. And I'm yelling, oh my gosh, it hurts so bad. It hurts so bad. So I felt a lot of pressure. And when I felt all of this pressure, finally my water broke. And then I felt this puddle in my pants.
Jacket.
Well, I don't know. So I think some of it went on my jacket, but I remember I had these black tights on. And so I stuck my hands in the tights and I just felt a big puddle of water. And then I felt another thing of pressure. And when I felt the other thing of pressure, I'm like, oh snap. I felt expansion, like my vagina expanding. And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel hair. And so I'm telling my husband, I'm like, the baby's coming. And so there's no way that he knew that I meant right now because he's driving the car. My son's in the back seat of the car. And so of course, when you're in labor, you're going to say the baby's coming. Even if you're about to be in a few hours of labor, you're saying the baby's coming, the baby's coming. But when I said the baby was coming, I literally meant like the baby was coming right then and there because I felt the head. But he was driving, and I'm not sure that he realized that I meant the baby was coming out. I had no choice but to push and try to assist the baby coming out because I was in so much pain. And mind you, I couldn't sit down with the baby's head out, right? Because I'm in a chair and you can't, like, I felt like I didn't think this stuff out. Like I didn't think, oh, I'm going to sit down. My initial reaction was just to push and to put my hand down there. And I put my hand on the back of the baby's neck. I remember reaching like this. I put my hand on the back of the baby's neck. I pulled, and then I felt the shoulders come out. And then I pulled the shoulders out. Ooh, I feel the pain now. And I pulled the shoulders out, and I just remember the baby being out, because I just remember the pressure being released. I was still in a lot of pain, even though the baby was out.
Is he still driving?
My husband's still driving. So I'm still screaming like, oh my gosh, I'm in pain. He's still driving. And a few seconds later, he notices that the baby is out, because he looks down on the seat. Now, when I say I pulled the baby out, I just assist the baby from coming out, and I lay the baby on the seat. But mind you, I can't see anything. My stomach's still big as heck. Yeah. It's dark at night. We didn't think to cut the car light on because everything's happening. And then just after a few seconds, he's like, oh my gosh, he looks over and he's like, the baby's on the seat. Pick her up, pick her up. And I'm like, I can't pick her up. I'm in too much pain. But he swerved. I think it just caught him off guard. So I felt the car like swerving. And so yeah, basically I can't pick the baby up. Listen, I don't even hear what you're saying right now. I'm in so much pain. This baby all right on this seat. But the thing is that so much stuff happened so fast. And so at some point I must have snapped back into it, because mind you, I'm in so much pain from delivering the baby that I put the baby on the seat, and I think my mind went blank. I don't know if I'm trying to collect my thoughts at the time. I don't really know what happened at the time. I'm in so much pain. And so eventually I pick the baby up, and I don't really hear her crying, because it's like when you see movies, you hear the baby cry when they come out, right? And so I don't hear her crying. And so I think I'm trying to like pat her back, like very gently, like something to, in my mind, keep her alive, basically, is what my mind is thinking. But I can feel the umbilical cord still in me, right? And she's sitting in the front seat with me, and I'm holding her close to my chest. And I hear maybe like a little noise here and there, like a or something like that. But I really don't know what to think of it. And so I tell my son, get my phone. He's like, who do you want me to call? I'm like, just take a picture. And honestly, I told him to take that picture because I'm like, in my mind, I know it's an incredible moment. But half of me also thought like, well, what if I lose her? Because I don't have any knowledge on how long the baby can come out of the vagina and be attached to the umbilical cord. But I told him just to take a picture, because we were still like 5 minutes from the hospital, getting to the hospital. And so I'm holding her. My husband's driving. He's blowing the horn, like basically asking people to move out the way.
Yeah.
We get up to the emergency room, and we go to, I guess, the wrong side of the emergency room. I'm in the car. He runs in. No one's there. A car pulls up beside him and says, follow me. And there was no really dialogue or communication between them. I think they just seen the way my husband was driving, and they knew that it was a emergency. I never have seen him drive like that. The car was making those skirt, like those noises, literally. And I remember that. So then he pulled up to another place where the hospital was, and they said, no, it's down there. And then he finally pulled up in front of the emergency room. Off-duty nurses came. They ran out. And when the off-duty nurse, I guess he ran in, he said, my wife had the baby in the car. And they came, ran up to the door. They opened the door, and I go to pass Brave to the nurse, but then my mind remembers COVID because she doesn't have a mask on. Mm-hmm. And so, but then also at the same time, I'm like, I can't give my baby to no darn nurse. She's still attached to my umbilical cord. So I can't hand her off. Yeah. So what they do is, and the part that I didn't say is that when I was checking my water and I felt the head coming out, at some point I took one of my pants legs off to be able to deliver the baby. I just don't remember if my husband took it off and helped me take it off, or whether I took it off. So when I'm getting out the car, your girl is butt bunky, just booty out and stuff. And there's a crowd of people at the emergency room, and they're probably there for something that happened to their family member or their friend or something. And so I'm telling them, like, I can't get out because I'm naked, basically. And they like,
You
oh,
still haven't delivered the placenta.
I haven't delivered the placenta. Okay. The placenta is still in me. So I have the baby up against my shirt here, and I'm getting out, and they put me in the wheelchair, and I'm like, oh, I do not want to raw butt this wheelchair at all. And so my shirt is kind of long, so I pull it down over me as best as I can. I feel like, if I could say this and not sound offensive, you know how the homeless people be having their booties out all the time and stuff like that? I feel like a homeless person really getting and so I got filled in, and I mean, the team was amazing. It almost was as if I got shot or something. And the reason I say that is because it was about maybe 10 or 15 it was the nurse, the doctor, the assistants, things like that on it right away. And they start putting warm blankets over Brave to warm her body because her body temperature had gotten so cold. And so they're putting these warm blankets in their hands, and the doctor's saying, get me a heater, get me a heater, get me a heater. Or where's that heater? Because they needed to make her warm. So she ended up getting back warm. They rolled us up to where the actual maternity delivery area is. And then that's when a few minutes later, then I delivered the placenta at that point. And I put that out. And I got charged that on my insurance. And I'm like, what? I pushed that placenta.
Oh, I hate insurance people.
Yeah, I pushed that
for everything.
Yeah.
So did you guys you stayed at the hospital? How long did you have to stay at the hospital?
So I stayed in the hospital for 2 days. The beautiful thing about that, which I'll wrap back around to the context of my story, is that my husband and son were not only there for the delivery, even though it was in the car, but they allowed them to come into the hospital as well. And they stayed. And they were able to stay for an extremely long time there as well. And my husband was able to come back and forth to the hospital, which it wouldn't have happened at the other hospital I planned to deliver at. And they did an exception for us. And so I guess what I got out of that, why God took me through that experience, and what I got out of that, and what I want to say is that sometimes we pray and we ask God for something, and we have exactly in our mind how we picture we want it to go, right? Because I try to be in control of situations a lot because I want to know how it's going to go. But sometimes God answers our prayers, but it looks totally different from how we'd ever think, he'll answer it. You know what I'm saying? I never ever thought about delivering without medicine or being at the hospital, or matter of fact, delivering in a freaking car, or my baby laying on a seat. I never thought that that's how my story would go. But also I see that God was able to answer my prayer of me having my support system around, and for me to be with my family as well. And so that's the good thing.
That's amazing.
Yes. So that is the story of Miss Brave Santana, and how she made me think, well, maybe I won't have another baby.
Are you guys done?
After that experience, it really made me I was like, I can't go through something like that again. So I told you the last picture I took was at 7:24. She was born at 7:41. So the maternity pictures me and my husband were kind of playing with. So the picture I took at 7:24, that was the last maternity picture. The picture I had my son take when I told him to pull out the phone and take a picture in the car, it was at 7:41. So that's how quick she came. I'm so glad she came quickly and I wasn't in labor for 15 hours or 48 hours. But yeah, she came fast.
That is, oh my God, I have no words. That is a story. Oh my gosh. Because you see stuff like that on TV and you're like, oh, that don't happen to nobody. But
I know. So now I'm thinking, every minute I'm thinking with my husband, I'm like, nah, he better have some respect for your girl. Like, put some respect on my name.
Yes, please. Better not ask for nothing else.
Right. So we
Oh,
were considering having another one, but after that experience, it made me think that was it was a beautiful experience, but it was traumatic too.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
mhm.
People don't realize how traumatic it can be having a baby. All the things that you go through, every little stage is like, because you really don't know and you're freaking out the whole time. And now my baby's on a seat and like, how are we doing this? And it is so crazy, but that's amazing. You did great.
Thank you, love.
Thank you so much for coming on today and sharing your story and staying up late. I know it's late there.
Good.
But thank you so much. I'm going to put the link, Idalia'S channel below. So like I said, you guys can go subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications. See you next time.